I am in love with this class right here. This is a class that you can get on the official mod manager, so to some extent you would say that this is an official mod that you can just go right in here and go immediately to go get this. This is not available on console right now, but as soon as the patch is available on console, I'm sure that this is one of the classes that you're going to have access to. So let me actually show you where you can get it. So you go to the mod manager and then you go to the classes right here, and you're going to essentially find it right here. I have it in my second page because I have already downloaded it, but it's a very popular class actually. It's the Mystic class, and my advice is that you also download the Mystic expansion, because this right here, these are subclasses for the class on itself. So let me tell you a little bit about what this class is. Have in mind that this is game friendly. It is balanced to some extent. It is not something that it is going to break the game or just make everything be unbalanced. Yes, it is a balanced class that it works with your build, but have in mind that if you have followed the builds that we posted here on the channel for Baldur's Gate can get very easy, and you can get very powerful classes and builds if you by all means know how to properly build a character class. So this is something that it is going to be very broken, but it's only going to be very broken if you know how to use it. And thankfully enough, there's a lot of versatility to have right here with this class, and there's some things that you're going to be able to change at your leisure. But the gist of everything, essentially what this class does, is that you are somewhat of a monk. This somewhat of a monk uses the psychic power to use the feats that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do so by just using your body. So you're using your body and your mind to transcend into everything that you want to do, meaning that you can basically do anything that you want to do. You want to be a sorcerer, you can be a sorcerer. In this case scenario, I am going to be building it towards some kind of a warrior, and my oh my, is it a very filthy, disgusting and powerful warrior. Just have in mind that it is very powerful because of how we are building the character on itself. So once you download it, you're going to find it right here on the Mystic class right here. Now we're going to be going with the order of the blade. This is going to be giving us War Adept, but the main thing that we're going for with this guy right here, it's because of the extra attack. Now have in mind that this also has a level 14 right here, so this is compatible if you have a level unlocked right here on your mods. I really don't. This is also a class that's friendly with mods like more characters in your party, because it can affect like 5 to 6 characters in your party depending on how you're using it and when you're using certain types of spells. So have in mind that this is a friendly mod if you're using those things. However, I am not. I'm using just the base classic on itself. So then again, the Order of the Blade. What this does is that it changes your attack rolls and your damage rolls and basically everything towards intelligence. That's why we're going to be building it towards intelligence. And then we're going to have the Mystic Arsenal, which this is something that I really love. The Mystic Arsenal allows you to change your weapon fighting style to the one that you would want to use at your leisure whenever you want to. So if you want to be using dueling weapons, you can. If you want to be using great weapon fighting, you can, and you can change it to your leisure without having to respec your character. One extra thing that you're going to get from here, it's going to be the martial training, which is going to give you weapon proficiency with martial weapons and armor proficiency with medium armors as well. The psionic disciplines, these are going to be the bread and butter of your everything that we're going to have right here. Now there's a psionic discipline that it is going to allow you to have a permanent buff. That permanent buff is going to do a specific something, and you can only sustain one at a time, and it requires concentration. However, that's going to be this one right here. The rest of the ones, like for example the giant form, the ogre form, you can actually use this provided that you do have enough concentration. You can only be concentrating. You can only have like one psychic focus right here at a time, but you can by all means break concentration. So you can, for example, use the psychic focus giant growth and then have the giant form, but at the same time use something different, like for example the celerity right here, which is a little bugged. Let me fix that. Going back, we can use celerity to use the surge of action because this doesn't require for you to have the focus on your psychic focus, and it doesn't require for you to break concentration. So this is something that it's very good to have with every single type of class that you would want to have right here. So for this case, we're going to be using this one. The giant growth. Like I said, we're going to be building somewhat of a very powerful warrior, and we want to have at the very least the psychic focus right here for the weapons. You will notice that I am using a halberd. You'll know why in a little while. And then we're going to be using the giant form. For the abilities course, you're going to lower your dexterity as much as possible because we're actually going to increase this with something extra a little later on. So Constitution Intelligence, this is a class that sustains concentration for quite a lot. So we want to have as much Constitution as possible. As a matter of fact, we're going to have Warcaster. We cannot help this. I know that someone is going to come and say you shouldn't have like those uneven numbers because they do nothing. It cannot be helped, dude. We already have 16 Constitution, 16 Intelligence, which is where we're going to be getting our attack rolls for our weapon, and then we have extra little saving throws for Wisdom and Charisma. We don't have anything else to spare right here, so it cannot be helped. Now at level 3, you are going to get the Psionic Talents. This is very useful because it allows for your weapon not to be disarmed. So yeah, our main damage is going to be coming from our weapon. Now for our Psionic Disciplines, this is at level 3, and this is where we're going to be using our psionic weapon. The psionic weapon is also what is going to be increasing our damage by a huge amount, and that's going to be because of the augmented weapon, the lethal strike, the ethereal weapon, but more often than not is going to be the lethal strike. This can be upcasted, and you can use psychic points to increase the psychic damage that you deal up to. Sometimes you can deal up to 120 damage just because of this thing right here. And if you critical hit, you use this with some of the items that we're going to be using. You can just basically one-shot anything that you would want to one-shot in this game with this class. The first feat at level 4 that we're going to get is Warcaster. Remember that there's a lot of concentration to be had with this class, with all of the builds and buffs that we're going to be using for this class, so Warcaster is a must right here. The next psionic discipline that you are going to take is Celerity. Celerity we wanted because of the Surge of Action, so that's an extra little something that it's nice to have. Now, I don't think that this is a mandatory one that you should be taking, but I like to take the Soul Reaper at level 7, just because we're going to be using lots of psychic points. And if you use Soul Eater, that's actually, it deals nice damage and it allows you to regain your psychic points if you use this to kill something. So yes, it deals amazing damage, and if you use it to kill something, you're basically not wasting any resources. It also allows you to close the distance with Soul Grip. It's like some kind of a utility one. You don't need to have it, but it's a utility that it's nice to have. For our feats, at level 8, we're going to be increasing our intelligence to 18. Remember that this attack rolls, and basically our main damage is converted from intelligence. Now I like to have somewhat of a mobility as well. On level 9 you get another psionic discipline. I like to take brute force because it allows you to use the mighty leap, which is very useful to move throughout the battlefields. But also there's one that you might say that it's somewhat better, but it costs a little bit more. The Titanic Leap, it deals damage, it causes for enemies to be prone, and it also allows you to have somewhat of a mobility throughout the battlefield. So either of, it's fine. The final one, and this is actually very important, and the order that you take, this is for the endgame. This is for the endgame. So the order that you take these guys is going to be dependent on your needs, on the access that you're going to have with the itemization, and the links that you're going to have between the things that we have right here. For example, we're going to be using the final one to increase our armor class. Our armor class is nothing that amazing. We also don't have that much of a carry weight, so this is kind of a complementary one that it's not needed for dealing damage and moving throughout the battlefields. So it's nice to have the Transcendent form. We'll talk about that on a little while. Itemization. We want to use the halberds. The halberds, this one for example, has extra reach, and we have extra reach even more than that. We are somewhat of a ranger warrior because we can use the gigantic form to increase the reach to where we deal damage with this thing right here. The next thing that we're going to have right here is going to be with our armor of agility. Remember that there's another armor that it increases your armor modifier, your armor class, depending on how much dexterity that you have. You will notice that I don't have dexterity right there. You can be using, for example, the one that you get in chapter 2, the gloves of dexterity, alongside with the armor that you can get on the Keith Yankee camp to increase your armor class and your dexterity. However, once you are on the endgame, you can be using the armor of agility, and then at the same time you can be using your psychic brands to increase your dexterity all the way to 19. This doesn't cost any psychic points, and this is also going to last until a long rest, so you can be spamming that one. Also, we have the spectral arms. This actually costs 6 points, so yeah, I'm sorry about that. And then we have the spectral arms. This actually costs 7 psychic points. However, you will see that I am encumbered right now. This is going to allow me not to be encumbered because I have more carry weight, I have more bonus to my attack rolls and things like that. Continuing with the itemization, a must thing to have that you can get on the second chapter of the game is the Strange Conduit Ring, because this is going to increase our psychic damage anytime that we are concentrated. With this class, we're always concentrated. Then we have the Killer Sweetheart. The Killer Sweetheart gives us attack the critical hits on the mana that also synergizes with the Surgeon Subjugation Amulet. You can be changing, for example, the Helldusk Gloves right here with the Dark Justiciar if you are still on Act 3 of the game. And then finally, the Helldusk Boots can also be changed for the long striding, the boots of striding as well, which have the same thing. These boots doesn't allow for you to be prone down on the ground, and these ones do the same thing provided that you're concentrated on something, which then again you're always going to be concentrated on someone. So the gist of everything, you're going to be using your psychic focus into a giant because this increases the attack reach by 1.5 meters. And you will notice that, for example, if I decided to attack, the range for attack, it's just massive and it's monstrous. The next thing that we're going to do as a buff, it's going to be our giant form. Our giant form is going to give us 20 temporary hit points, and also our melee attacks are going to deal 2 to 12 slashing damage. So this is very nice as well. At this point, we still have 44 psychic points that we can be using, and these guys, you're going to be using them as much as possible with Lethal Strike. You will notice that you can upcast this thing to increase our psychic damage all the way to 70 points. But have in mind that this disappears because it only lasts for a turn. And so essentially, that's the gist of everything. You're using your psychic points to increase your damage all the way to 100, and you don't actually need to use them every time because there's not many enemies that are going to be able to withstand all of that punishment. You also have the action surge, so there's lots and lots and lots of different tools. Because of the Titanic points that you took, you also have the leap. Because of the soul grip that you have, you also can cast, like, for example, the Soul Eater can also be used to kill something without dealing amazing damage, without using so many psychic points. And by all means, this is a class that can kill things on its own, but it works nice as well with different class for different builds that we're going to have later on. But as you can see, as an individual class, it's just a monster. It's a quite literal monster. Anyways, if you like the content, like and never super appreciate it, and also you that you're a gorgeous and beautiful person, you're a gorgeous and beautiful person, subscribe to the channel, you're in the Discord, have a beautiful day. Bye.